breathe. I'm crying out for help. I can't breathe. I'm in a struggle and I can't leave. I'm crying out for help. I can't breathe. No. Just want you to know Black Lives Matter. Just want you to know black is beautiful. Ain't gonna hide it no more. No more.
One, two, Radio Culture. Yes, you're welcome to this bi-weekly lecture from the Rastafari Council of Ghana. Today we're on the topic economics in the importance of economics in the struggle. And our speaker for today, first time with an Empress at helm, Empress Marina Blake.
Who the driver, who the rider, even peace and love could beef with the world, yeah. And if they took it out on each other, you know something wrong with understanding. Antics, tactics.
We're still waiting for the lecture to begin. And you're welcome to join the actual lecture. There's a QR code.
1600 story.
I believe it's on our Facebook page. Go there, scan it, and join the conversation. When you do, remember you're welcome to ask questions and make contributions. But please remember to keep it brief, as this is a timed broadcast and a timed lecture. Once again, you're welcome to the bi-weekly lecture of the Educational Committee of the Rastafari Council. And we are on the topic for today, the importance of economics in the struggle.
Don't forget.
Our speaker for today, Empress Marina Blake. Stay tuned. We'll bring you the lecture as soon as it starts. Welcome, Radio Culture.
Expected places sing to Lord, see high. How you remember this year's setbacks, liberation. How you tell yourself the comeback situation. At sunset, rising up six. Perception, transmitting energy. Decision, transmitting a change. Childhood assumption, Buddha watching, Buddha smarter. A wisdom pot, and I say the spider. Headless one, no monarchy was their intellect. I said missiles intelligence could protect moments of the history that we don't forget. Rastafari filled the people chest with fresh nectar. Is this starting to make some sense? Unexpected space, the chains, the law, see high.
Radio Culture.
And they sell news in a proxy war. Grudges was the burdens of humanity. Comparison and so competition. To communicate, to be understood, how do we? They sell views. Trading blind spots. Humble yourself, Jahai program. Paradox Universe is pivoting in another direction. Restoring narratives, persona became the person. These autobiographies chasing impossible answer. Skill, technique, inadequate honesty. Machine learning out to human efficiency.
Ones who are not very familiar with her will get to know Empress. And then she will lead the conversation. Like I've mentioned, she is leading the conversation on the topic, the importance of economics to the struggle. So without saying much, I'll invite Empress Marina to take the stage. So Empress, the audience. Jack, Rastafari.
Yes, my name is Empress Marina Lee. Am I being heard? Am I loud enough? All right.
Yes, loud and clear.
I'm Empress Marina Lee. I am a Bobo Shanti Empress. I lived on the foundation in Jamaica. I was born in Jamaica. I migrated to the United States at the age of 15 and a half years old. And then in 1981, my kingman and I, we decided to leave New York and we settled on the foundation, the Bobo Shanti Foundation at 10 Miles Bull Bay in Jamaica. We lived there a few years and then we returned to New York. Since that time, we have been back and forth between Ghana and the United States. For the most part, my husband stays in Ghana and I am between the, as I said, New York and Ghana. And so that is how our life is structured now. I am, close to retirement, not quite ready yet, hopefully in the next year or two. But right now I continue to work. I'm an attorney and I have a law practice in New York. 2 of my children are also lawyers and my daughter works with me. My son, he does criminal work mostly and he has his own practice. And so, yes, and my, as I said before, I'm in my granddaughter's room and she has just entered and I do not want her to disturb me. So I'm going to ask her to politely leave. Yes. Yes, my lord. And if there are any empresses on this call. Right. So this evening, I would like to address the topic of the importance of economics to our liberation. I think it is a crucial component and it is one that we have overlooked. And we have done ourselves a disservice. We have done the movement a disservice by overlooking the importance of economics. But from the very beginning, it is not without basis why some Rastafari they're antagonistic to the idea of working in the Babylon system. Because from the very beginning, we have had this a rather vexatious relationship with money, the topic of money and our engagement with the wicked Babylon system. Because, bear in mind that we recognize and we acknowledge that the system, the economic system, the capitalist system under which it was designed to oppress the many for the benefit of the few. We saw the struggle, the deprivation and the pain of Black people laboring under the yoke of an oppressive system. Indeed, we reasoned that any system that would allow some individuals to amass exorbitant amounts of wealth, 10 billion, 40 billion, 100 billion, is not only unjust, it is perverse. It is perverse. There are children starving throughout the world, millions of people without access to clean water, people living in extreme deprivation, in unsanitary conditions, while others wallow in wealth and riches, living wanton and decadent lives. We were correct in our assessment of the situation, but we may have been misguided with respect to our response to that system. So we recognize the ills of the current capitalist system. And we thought that disengagement was the only way, right, to not participate in such an evil, corrupt, lopsided, unjust system, so that we should disengage from the system. But my argument is that did we really disengage? And to the extent that we did, what effect has that had on us, on the movement, on Rastafari movement over the years, and indeed on the entire Black race? What effect has that had? Has that approach served us well? And my response to that is no. That approach has not served us well, because, in fact, we never really disengaged from the system, because this is the only system we have. This is the only system we know, and we have not created an alternative system. So what we have done at best is to reduce our participation in the system, and yet still it has not served us well, right? So because we find ourselves as Rastafari, we continue to struggle, right? We are poor and powerless. Our powerlessness comes from our poverty, our lack of having. People talk about the dangers of the capitalist system, of working in a capitalist system, right? But there's also danger in poverty. Let us talk about the downside of poverty. Once again, children being malnourished, people not having access to proper housing, not having access to clean water, children not being able to go to school. Our elders are not getting the care and the nutrition that they need. Our Rastafari creed said, naked clothed, sick nourished, age protected, and infants cared for. But that is not happening. I see on Bobo Shanti Hill in Jamaica, we have elders up there who are going, not always eating right, not always eating the way they should. And I think, as I have said in an interview on another channel, that it is our eternal shame that we have elders among us who are going hungry, and we need to take a position. We need to take a stand. We address this very vexing issue. It's prevalent, and it is not just on Bobo Hill. It is throughout the Rastafari culture. It is pervasive among Black people throughout the world. You don't even have to be Rastafari. You can be Muslim, Christian. But our situation has not improved. It has not improved in the last 50 years. It has not improved. In fact, and in many instances, it has worsened. And so I am saying that we need a different response. We need a different response. And ironically, the response comes from engaging with the system. Now, you may ask me, what kind of paradox is this? Because it is paradoxical, right? Because if the system is the problem, can the system be the solution? Can we remove the problem and the solution? Can the solution be, or maybe the better way to put that, to phrase that is, can the solution be derived from the very same oppressive, unjust, lopsided system that we fireborn? Is that where, and if not, then what, is there another system? Do we have another system in place? But I argue that in order to even put another system in place, we have to engage with the current system and get the funds that we need, get the resources that we need, so we can construct this alternate system, this better system, a more just system. And we need to stop looking at money as something evil. It doesn't have to be. In fact, it can bring about a lot of good. It can solve a lot of problems. And so we need to look at the benefits of having money, because we know what the disadvantages are, as I have named some of them before. And because of our poverty, because of our powerlessness, we have been disrespected throughout the world. I do not know that conditions for Black people have improved. Because in fact, I will argue that it has, I can see here in the United States that we almost seem to be, we're going backwards. We're going backwards. We're having fewer rights. We're being attacked more. We've come on a attack. And we had back in the 60s. So we're making no headway. And in fact, we're regressing. And so I call upon us to take a different approach to the issue of money. But in that connection, I would like to quote statistics here for the benefit of the discussion. Right? So Black people in the United States are twice as likely to live in poverty as whites here in the United States. We have the highest poverty rate of any other racial or ethnic group at 19.5%. Unemployment rate for Black Americans is twice the rate for whites. The median wealth of Black families is $17,000, which is 1/10 of what it is for whites, whose median income is $171,000. Right? Wealth, yes, it's $171,000. Imagine that to our paltry 17% for Black people. 42% of Blacks own their own homes in the US compared to 73% of whites in the United States. Black Americans have a life expectancy of 3.6 years lower than white Americans. Black mothers are 3 times, even now here in 2024, in the United States, which dubs itself as one of the most, if not the most advanced country, the richest country to be sure, on earth, right? And yet, Black mothers in the United States in 2024 are 3 times as likely to die from complications associated with pregnancy and childbirth. That is 40.8 deaths per 100,000 births versus 12.7 per 100,000 births for white. So 12, let us call it 13 mothers and babies are dying in childbirth, white mothers, whereas you have 41 Black mothers and children dying in childbirth. That is a stark difference, and it is unacceptable. And that comes out of the fact that we don't have any money. And it's just plain and simple as that. I know some people may find that, to be objectionable, to be almost insulting, but to point out the problem is not the problem. Let us not let pointing out the problem become the problem. When a person tells me that I'm fat, I may be offended initially, but the fact is, if I'm a sensible person, I will seek the solution to the problem, right? Which is my weight. So let us get past the hurt feelings and stop like little children. Let's stop behaving like girls, right? Little young girls, and let us acknowledge the fact that the problem exists, and in order to solve the problem, you cannot solve the problem if you want to recognize it, if you want to acknowledge it. Let me continue with the statistics. So as I said, Black mothers are 3 times more likely to die from complications associated with pregnancy and childbirth. And in general, the racial disparities in mortality rates and incidence of sicknesses are the results of disparities in access to resources that protect and promote good health. Discrimination and racial bias also play a role in determining poorer health outcomes for Black Americans. These are the statistics. Let us not kid ourselves. Incarceration rate for Black men in the United States is 6 times the rate for white Americans, because a lot of times Black men in America are forced because they lack the education, they lack the acumen, they lack the experience and the skill to acquire legal employment. And a lot of times they're locked out, and that is deliberately. We all know that was done deliberately. That's part of the system to lock them out of employment, gainful employment, and force them into illegal activities, which then lead to their arrest and their imprisonment and long periods of incarceration away from their family, a destruction of the family. And so this vicious cycle continues, right? And so once again, because of our poverty, because of our lack of resources, because of our lack of funds, we are disrespected throughout the world. And the disrespect, it is pervasive, it is continuing, it is and it does not seem to be there seems to be no end in sight. For instance, Africans in their own country are disrespected. So it is not just us here in the US or blacks in America, in the UK. We are disrespected even in our own homeland. How humiliating is that? You imagine a person coming into your house and disrespecting you, because it's one thing to disrespect you out on the street and in the road, but to come into your house and disrespect you is an even more heinous form of disrespect. It is a virulent form of disrespect. And so there are places, as I said, in Kenya, in Zambia, where black Africans cannot go because either whites or some other minority group, they have taken hold of these places. They have taken control of these places. And, right, so I'll give you some example. Even look at South Africa. The gall, can you imagine the gall of white people in South Africa wanting to carve out their own country where blacks are not allowed? There's already a place in South Africa. The name escapes me at the moment, but someone here may know that they're carving out their own. No blacks are allowed to enter. It is a strictly white enclave. You're in black man's country, and you're making rules against them in their own countries, right? And what are our government now? Someone may say, but it is the fault of the government of these African countries. But when you're poor, you cannot defend yourself. When you don't have the power, you cannot defend yourself. And how are you going to get the power? Economics. Money. All right? Because we all know that Africa is the richest continent, right? We have all the resources in the world, right? I'm not saying resources don't exist elsewhere, but we certainly have the most collectively. And yet still our resources are always being harnessed for the benefit of others, right? Other people who don't look like us. So we have all this mineral wealth in the soil in Africa. We have, the wealth is resplendent. I don't know. It is everywhere. It is all over. And yet still we are not enjoying the benefits of our own natural resources. Other people are taking what belongs to us, our birthright, right? And the thing is that we are disrespecting when we go to their home country, right? When we go to China treats us, very poorly. There are places that will explicitly tell you. I see, pictures of Africans being tossed out. They can't get any place to live. No one will rent to them. They're sleeping on the sidewalk. They are treated like garbage. And this is what we have to put up with when we go to China. The Europeans are looking to expel us. They're offering Africans now money to leave their country, right? There are beaches in Jamaica. Jamaica is a Caribbean island, majority black. There are beaches in Jamaica where local black Jamaicans cannot visit. I mean, how much disrespect are we to accept? And and what has been the Rastafari solution to this problem? What have we devised? What solution have we devised? Have we called a round table discussion and saying, the situation regarding blacks throughout the world, it is getting worse rather than getting better, so that the disrespect against us continues, rather than us, being I shouldn't even say accepted, but rather than us, we need to demand the respect, and we can't get it because we don't have any money, and then we curse money, right? So here is this tension. There's this very real tension between engaging the system and disengaging the system. And yes, we need to disengage the system because, as I said, it is an unjust system. But at the same time, we need to engage the system to an extent where we can get the money to disengage from the system. Now, once again, as I said, it seems paradoxical. It seems almost counterintuitive. So how do you get, earn your money in this wicked system so that you can create, so you earn your money in an unjust system so you can create a just system. But, as paradoxical as it may sound, It is the only approach. And we have rejected it, and we have rejected it too long and to our detriment. For example, I was speaking to a brother last night, and he was telling me about, he said, Dangote, who is the wealthiest African, he has now constructed a plant or some where now the oil can be refined in Africa rather than having to be sent abroad to be processed and refined and then sent back. Africans have to buy back their own, the refinement of their own resources. He has now constructed a plant whereby they will, they'll be able to refine the oil here in Africa, in Nigeria, wherever, and so that we can get a larger share of our own resources. But how is Dangote able to do that? He's able to do that because he earned money in the unjust system. He's the wealthiest African. He's a billionaire times over, right? So that we need to be sensible and not sensitive. We need to behave like adults and not like children, like we don't understand the problem. And to acknowledge a problem is not to catapult to capitulate. Rather, sorry, it's not to capitulate to white supremacy. But they're the ones, they're holding the handle and we're holding the blade of the knife right now. They're the ones who are in possession of the wealth of the world. With that wealth, they're able to control us, right? The other day when the war in Ukraine got started, and they were airlifting people out. They were, people were fleeing on buses, on trains, and all of that. And we stood sadly by, and we saw that Black people were excluded. Black people were not allowed to get on the bus. The buses, they were not allowed to get on the trains. They were not airlifted out. It was Jay-Z, a rapper, a music mogul from the United States, who said he will send planes. He will send in planes, and he can do that because he had the money. Ultimately, there was a group of empresses in the UK. They're not Rastafari empresses, but obviously conscious-minded people who were able to start sending money to the Black people in the Ukraine so that they can make their way out. Find ways of getting Black people out. And this is how we're treated. Black people were actually told, you cannot get on these trains. You cannot get on this bus. You cannot get on this flight. And I am saying the disrespect, it's too much. And so I'm an advocate of working within the system to try to bring about the solution. And so I am, I'm engaging the ones who have, signed in, who have tuned in to hear this discussion, for us to discuss ways in which we can acquire wealth from within the same corrupt system, so that we can liberate ourselves from the very same corrupt system. I say, let us rethink our position regarding Rastafari and money, Rastafari and wealth, right? So as I said, in order to divorce ourselves from the system, we need money to do so. How do we earn the money? From the same corrupt system. So that the system, it is a problem. And I'm not saying it is a solution, but we can, but there are aspects of the system that we can engage to formulate our own solution. Because as we know, every system contains within it the seed of its own destruction, right? So that, remember, even with the colonial education that we got, it was designed to enslave us, to further brainwash us, right? Yet, colonial education to emancipate ourselves this level and cite up Rastafari, come to sit down and assess the problem, analyze the problem, right? And then we have the education, we have the smarts, we have the intelligence, we have the knowledge, right? To sit down, strategize, and come up with a solution. Because if we had opted to say, well, let us disengage from the system altogether, we won't go to school, we won't learn. And some of us did that in the very early years of Rastafari. And in fact, I know quite a few children from the Bobo Hill in Jamaica who did not get the schooling that they should have gotten and are very bitter against their parents now because They are unable to function in the world to the extent, to the level that they would have liked, right? Because they did not get any, even the foundational education. So that we know that is not that's not the right approach. We know, right? Trial and error. So we know that to fireborn education is not the way to go. Fireborn something, you must all be prepared to put something in place. You must be prepared to come with an alternative. You can't just fireborn and then what? And just stand back, fireborn. Yes, well, this at the same time you're mashing. You have to be building something else. You have to be building the alternative. I asked my daughter one day, why is it that they're not more, involved in Rastafari? And she said, because mommy, nobody's in a rush to sign up for poverty and deprivation. Because if that is what Rastafari is offering, telling you don't go to school, don't work as a lawyer, do you know the attack I came under when I started going to law school? The amount of fireborn that my husband and I got, it wasn't easy. We had to tune it out. You see, because when you're a pioneer, you're taking the lead, you're doing something that has not been done before in your community or among the people that you are, you're with. So now, if you stick out your head, you are going to come under attack. We went through heck. 2 years, in 1984, when we purchased our first house in New York, in the Northeast Bronx. Once again, we came under serious the Rastafari community as capitalists and sort of like embedding ourselves into the system. And once again, we had to tune out the noise and carry on. You understand? Because no one has ever made a difference by being like everyone else. No one has ever made a difference by being like everyone else. If you are to make a difference, you're going to have to step out. And you are going to, and once you step out, you know that you're going to come under attack. But you must be prepared. You have to be strong, right? Because that's what pioneers are strong people, right? Because they know the blowback. Now, how are we going to earn the money? Another point I want to make too. Look and see how we were cut out at the marijuana industry, the legal marijuana industry. After for so many years, we fight, we struggle, we got beaten, we get into jail for this thing. And no, when it became legal, when they finally decided that but we don't have the money to invest. It's not we are not the one getting the benefit of the legal marijuana industry. In fact, in New York, they had it was $1 million. It would require $1 million to get the licensing and the rights to open a marijuana store in New York. And people protested and said that you put it outside of the reach of Black people, and so that's a barrier to entry. And so the government, what they did, they reduced it. They reduced the amount substantially to $200,000, right? So as to afford Black people the opportunity to get involved in the industry. And I called up a few people, and no one was prepared or in a position or was willing to say, let us explore it at that rate. We could have get 5 people, we could have got 10 people, and yet still that didn't happen because we're not in a position. We were not in a position. That's the sad thing, to avail ourselves of this opportunity. And so we cannot continue along this path. We cannot. This is not the we cannot continue to take this course of action, or as I call it, inaction. So we need those of us who are skilled. We should continue working and amassing money, right? We're going to work. We're going to provide for our family. We're going to save. We're going to invest. We're going to come to the collective, and we're going to have why don't we have a 100-acre farm in Ghana, a 200-acre farm? Tell me why. How difficult would that be to have a 200-acre farm in Ghana where ones and ones can go and get food? Like, it would be a cooperative. Why are we unable to do that? Because we don't have the money? Or is it that we don't have the will? Or we don't trust each other? We don't know how to go about. We need people with business skills. We need people with business background. We need people with a business experience. We need people in financing who can get us the funding that we need. Because, we don't understand the system because we have been disengaged from the system. I know it is virtually impossible to get loans in Ghana. If a person wants to start a business in Ghana, there is no bank. The banks are not eager to extend loans to people to start up a new business or to even expand on an existing business. It is extremely difficult. And when such loans exist, they come at exorbitant interest rates. 30%, 35%. I mean, not even the mafia don't charge that much interest rate. And yet still, this is the only thing that's available to individuals in various African countries. And I speak of Ghana because that's where I have the experience. And so in the United States, funding is available. It's much more readily available than it is in other parts of the world, and particularly in Africa. So that those of us in the West, we need to avail ourselves of those resources and those services and put it to the benefit of the collective. So we need people working in tandem. We don't need those in other continents or those who are repatriated cursing those who are working in the West, as though we're doing something wrong, as though we're not about it. We're not about the struggle, because we need those on the ground in the continent, and we need those in the West making money. And we need to stop kidding ourselves. It is not betrayal of the Rastafari creed. It is not betrayal of the Rastafari culture. It is not betrayal of Rastafari principle to work in the West to acquire money so that we can do productive things in the East for our people. Our people are suffering. Our people need us. Those of us with experience, like I said, with skills, with knowledge. If you have earning potential, earn. There should be no stigma attached to earning. People have come at me. I am greedy. I am in the West. I'm running down money. I love money. I am a capitalist. All of these type of things. But as I said, I have always been on the forefront. Going to law school, purchasing a house, doing certain things. I have always been on the forefront. So I'm a type of things. And so I tune them out for the most part. I tune them out because, and it's disappointing that there are, people who ought to know better, people who are educated. You should hear some of the trite arguments that they make. And yes, so they won't tell Bushman to stop earning money, They wouldn't tell Sizzler. They wouldn't tell the Mal family, say stop earning money. You're greedy, continuing to earn money. What kind of foolish argument? Tell me, has poverty served us well? Our people are suffering. Children have been abused because of the lack of resources. Their parents have no resources. There are studies done in the United States that show you the effect of poverty on the development of children from the time of birth if they're not getting the proper resources. One of my goals is to open a crèche in Ghana, right, where I take children, get young children, so I can start working on them from that age. Because your brain development begin very early. In fact, there are studies that says that by the age of 3, you have not gotten the right exposure, right, and the right nutrients, the right stimulation. Then a lot is lost. You are behind the 8 ball, so to speak, if you have not gotten those things. And we talk about your breast milk and so forth and so on. And breast milk is best. And we in terms of feeding your infants, your babies, right? But if the mother's diet is no good, if her eating is no good, then the breast milk that she's producing is also no good. It is lacking in nutrition. If her diet is lacking in nutrition, then it's no good. So the child, what you're feeding the child, breast milk, it will be better if you feed powder milk, or formula, because the formula has more nutrients. You understand? And that, once again, that almost seems like a paradox. That almost seems like it's something you have to bonfire, God. Who can promote formula over breast milk? But if the breast milk is no good, the formula is better because the formula has the nutrients. When we look, I have a granddaughter born just recently. She's 6 months old now. And when I look and see the things that my daughter is doing, all of this care that she's taking, but more care than I took when I was having my children, because there were certain things that were not available to me, certain studies that were not done, and we've seen now the effects of certain things, and we know what to stay away from. When I look at some of my grandkids here, when my 4-year-old grandson talks to me about the spleen in the body and the liver and the spleen, and grandma, that's the spleen, and I'm like, whoa. When I was 4 years old, spleen was not in my vocabulary, right? But the kind of education that they're able to get now, they're engaging them at earlier and earlier ages, so that they can, and this type of education is not necessarily available in Africa, and that is what I would like to replicate. And I know I'll be doing it on a very, very small scale, because it's going to be a point to my budget that I can afford. Because where am I going to get the funding? I have to be the funder, right? I have to be the one to earn that money to do that, to do what I to build that creatures I want to build. And where am I going to earn the money? In the United States, unfortunately. So once again, it sounds as though I am going against the grain. I am going against the culture. I'm going against the conventional wisdom of Rastafari as to be apart from the system. But that is not what it is. So we need people with intelligence. We need deep thinkers. We need people who are not just going to, have, these flippant responses. Bonfire baby formula. Bonfire capitalism. Bonfire banking. Bonfire. We need people who understand the complexity of the problem. We need people who understand the dilemma in which we find ourselves. We need people who understand that we are losing ground rather than gaining ground. We are losing ground. And so, in order to correct that, we need a course correction. So, and in order to correct that, we need to rethink our relationship with money, with wealth, with working, with capital. We need to rethink that. And there, that is the crux of my representation, right? That is the crux of it. To address the concerns that individuals may have in terms of my proposition that we engage more with the system and not less, in order for us to achieve, the desired result of good. My Lord and Empress.
Radio, culture.
Yes.
Radio, culture.
Representation, I think, within 30 minutes. And she's been able to espouse on the topic the importance of economics in the struggle, justifying why we don't have to fireburn some of the things that are necessary to do as a people moving forward. So at this stage, I will invite comments, inputs, questions for her while she's here, so she can address some of them. So my lords and empresses, let's come in with our comments, questions, suggestions. Can I go first? Yes, my lord.
Yes, Empress. Give thanks. You shed a lot of light on important things, crucial things. Personally, if we're looking at the thing through His Majesty's eyes, then I don't think anything you're saying is wrong at all when you say Rastafari has to earn money, because Celeste talks for work, for earn, things like that, So coping with a situation. My only question, I want to say problem, is the assumption that when we have money, or if we become a wealthy people, it would take care of the disrespect. Because don't forget that Africa was conceptualized as the land of the slaves when we were not part of their cash nexus system. We were not part of their money system, right? But they saw it that way. That is why what they call transatlantic trade happened, right? They had already disrespected us. They knew they were lying, but they were writing stuff because they were building their idea of themselves. I'm saying all this to say that there's a world that's built around the idea of disrespect of Africa, and it precedes this situation, you know? So what you're talking about is very important in terms of the short term, the immediate questions. But if we really want relief from this, we need ideas along with what you're doing, you know, alongside that, because sometimes we say, oh yeah, what you're doing is not working, so let's go do this. But let's be clear, that's just a short-term stopgap measure, right? What we need is to come up with, like you said, we need to, if we're going to bund the thing, we have to create an alternative, right? Ideas are coming up among Africans right now on the continent, which is not about if you can't beat them, join them. It's a break from that. These are scholars too who are thinking these ideas. So we have to all engage with each other, you know. Otherwise, we'll put so much into something that's basically not really tenable. But it's an expedient. It's something we could use for now. So I don't think it is okay for anyone to make you feel bad about doing what you're doing. You know, I've heard of some of your works too. You know, it's crucial what you're doing, but we have to put in the context of this is what we're doing for now based on these immediate questions we have to address. But we're dealing with a global way of understanding, which is not overwhelming because King Selassie is the power. You know, Selassie has addressed these questions on that level. When he's speaking, he doesn't say, oh yeah, you know, try and get some money. No, he's trying to talk about how we can get past this and work something else into existence, which unfortunately we haven't addressed. So let other people speak. I would like to hear you talk some more on that, but I'd love to hear other people speak too. Give thanks, Empress.
My Lord, bless the Lord.
Radio, culture.
I would like to respond though, may I?
Yes, please.
Yes. So, right. Yes, my Lord.
Radio,
All right.
culture.
Yes, Empress, thank you so much for the presentation. Your presentation.
Can you wait on to the comments and then you come in, please? Yeah, so there's already a question on the platform, so let's Empress respond afterwards. We can the follow-up question, or we can ask the next question, please. Thank you.
Right. So I am not so naive to think that having money is going to bring us respect, because we see that Oprah Winfrey went to Switzerland and she went to a store and they disrespected her. And Oprah Winfrey is an extremely wealthy woman. They didn't know who she was and they disrespected her. I mean, once they found out who she was, the president or the prime minister himself apologized to her. But it shouldn't take money to get respect. People should just be respected in their own individual capacity, right? Whatever their economic circumstance. So I do not think that money is going to bring us the respect from white people, right? Because they are intent on not respecting us. That is their entire foundation, their entire culture is built on that, as you have alluded to, right? But what I'm saying, what it will do, it will lessen the need for us to travel to their country, to take, boats across the Mediterranean, to go into Italy, only to be disrespected or to be drowned at sea, right? It will lessen the need for us to travel to China, to look for economic opportunities and be disrespected by the Chinese. That is the ultimate. Can you imagine being disrespected by Chinese? I mean, that is just the disrespect of all disrespect. So, that is what I'm saying. We need to put ourselves in a position where we can at least provide for our basic needs so that we do not open ourselves up to this wholesale, disrespectful treatment that we receive throughout the world. And we are able to stay in our country. we're able to see, although we do get disrespected here as well, because when the Arabs come in, the Chinese come in, the Europeans come in, everybody, the Indians come in, everybody, it's an open field on Black people. But the more we acquire, the more we become economically independent, is the less likely it will be for us to interact with them, and especially not having to travel to their country to seek economic opportunities.
Give thanks, Empress. Yes, Ras, please, you can call me with your question now.
Radio culture.
Michael. Hello, Ras. Yes, the next question can follow, please.
You're still logged in on Radio Culture. We're still listening to the bi-weekly lecture by Empress Marina Blake on the importance of economics in the struggle. It's question and answer time right now. Radio culture.
Give thanks. Hello?
Yeah, hello, Ras. We can hear you, so please.
Okay. Empress, I'm very grateful for your presentation. And from the things that you said, it appears that black people, we are in trouble. So white people have set up a system in such a way that black people only have to mimic the white man. So we eat like a white man, we dress like a white man, even getting degree, getting PhD, getting doctorate degree, getting law degree are systems that have been set up by the white man. And there is no way we can come up from this, from the way I look at things, if we want to follow the system laid down by the white man. Now, these people sat down in the 16th to the 17th century, coming to the 20th century. They sat down and decided to downgrade black people to the level of chimpanzees and monkeys, where they put us in zoos for people to go and pay and come and watch us. They said that black people are not to the level of human beings. So they created what we call a slave market in Pennsylvania, Alabama, and other places, where white doctors will go and buy black people as commodity and do surgical experiments on them. That is how come today we have things like cesarean section and other medical maneuvers. But for me, in order for us to get the economic freedom as you have enumerated, I think we must go back to the ways of our fathers. We must start thinking the African way, because there is no way we can catch up with them. Even if we need to catch up with them, we cannot be like them. So which way is the African way? Number one, even as Rastafarians, we have to practice Rastafarianism in such a way that it's aligned with African religion, African spirituality. Because if we are still using the white man book to practice our Rastafarianism, it means that we are still in that bondage. Now, how are we going to be economic independent from the white man system? It's like you are saying, we need thinkers, we need people who will come up with the African idea. Because you see, the reason why most African countries are failing is because our leaders go to places like United States, UK to go to these big schools and learn economics, and when they come, they apply an economic system which better suits the white people in their country. So when they apply it here, it doesn't work. That is why we always go to IMF and borrowing money. So I agree with you. What is the way out? Africans, we must come together, even we on this platform, as Rastafarians, either in Ghana, all over the world. Why can't we come together and put some money together and build our own factory, one small factory somewhere, one small pure water factory somewhere, one small cassava processing factory somewhere, one small tomatoes, processing factory somewhere. Why can't we do that? We can. If you leave it on one person, it will be a huge tax. But if we come together as brothers and sisters and say, okay, let us contribute this little money and put something somewhere so we can run our own thing.
Culture.
So we can run our own thing. So we can, this cooperative farming that you mentioned, it's another step that can liberate some of our brothers from this poverty thing. But how are we going to do it? So, Empress, my question is, I don't know whether I got it wrong, but are you saying that we should follow the white man system in order to benefit from how they set up the system, or we should find a way to go by the white man system and create our own system? That's my question. Thanks.
My Lord, bless us all. And that is that's the $1 million question, my Lord. The $1 million question: how do we pull the solution out of the very corrupt system that we are bonfiring? I said that from the outset of my presentation, right? That is the paradox. If the system is the problem, then the system cannot be the solution. But it doesn't mean that the solution cannot be derived from the system. Right? So the system as is cannot be the solution. But the solution can be derived from certain aspects of the system. Right? And so I gave the example again of what Dangote did. Dangote is a multi-billionaire. And he earned his money in the corrupt system. And he's using that money that he earned in the corrupt system to create oil refinery in Africa so Africans can refine their own oil rather than having to rely on Europeans to do that. So, we must not allow the perfect to become the enemy of the good. You cannot allow the perfect to become the enemy of the good. Sometimes you may need to do some bad things in order to get some good results. And I can tell you, even on a more personal level, right? When you diagnose with cancer and they give you chemotherapy, which is poison, and then the cancer is gone. So you did something that was almost counterproductive, right? But it got the results, the required results. So here we are again. We're caught in this catch-22 situation, right? We're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. We are struggling with this system. The only one that I know, with respect to our African brothers and sisters, in terms of the indigenous African who are, born on the continent who can trace their lineage, but to the continent, never left, right? So they are in possession of the information that we may need, right, to devise and to construct this new system that we're talking about. One of the things that I do know is that His Majesty sent his people abroad to Europe to learn, right? So, he sent them abroad to learn. So I guess learning from the white man, right? So once again, we have to be able to take what we need delicately. Take the things that we need, the things that can benefit us. Let us take it delicately from that. Extract anything that can help us in the construction of our own system. And so it is a delicate dance. And so that's why I said we need to sit down. We need to have a face-to-face discussion as to how. Yeah, we need to strategize. We need to come up with a plan. We need to come up with a response. And we're very reliant on our brothers and sisters on the continent who can say to us, well, this is how it used to be before the white men came. And so let us try to revive the system of our ancestors. Right? I can't tell you what they are, but you can. The brethren who just spoke, you can tell me what they are. And so we can see how we can meld the two, right? We can mesh some of the traditional things, plus maybe some newer technology, because right, time marches on. Newer technology that can enhance the system that we have inherited from our
understanding. Panicky frantics, antics, tactics, revel in self-look. Ambitions, fame is more of the time. 1600 stories, I get it. You want to belong, memories, nostalgia, childhood assumption. What's in the game, Charlie? Headless one, no monarchy was your intellect. As if this girl's intelligence could protect moments of the history that we don't forget. Rastafari fill the people chest with fresh connect. Is it starting to make some sense? Unexpected places sing to Lahasi high. How you remember this year's setbacks, liberation. How you tell yourself to come back. Situation at sunset rising narcissist. Precision transmitting energy. Decision transmitting a change. Buddha's Mahata. Don't put and answer this my head down. Headless one, no monarchy was your intellect. I said myself intelligence. Good moments of the history that we don't forget. Rastafari fill the people chest with fresh connect. Is it starting to make some sense? Unexpected spaces is the lossy high. And they sell news in a proxy war. Grudges was the burdens of humanity.
Aya, I beg you, there's there's an alarm. I'm sorry to interrupt. There's an alarm ringing in somebody's thing. It's disturbing the broadcast. If somebody can please take care of that. We have people, our listeners are complaining about some alarm ringing in the background. Please. Thank you.
Restoring narratives, persona became the person.
I've been able to learn aluminum fabrication. I'm a tradesman. I do glazing works and all that. Now, my uncle that is asking me that question, I've worked for him before. He has not sent me there, but I've worked for him on his building as a fabricator. And I've been in this work for the past 7-8 years as a master with apprentices. All these years, I have never worked for a Rasta man. I think, and I sit back and I ask myself, is it that they will be part of the thing for us to benefit from them? Because we always work for people outside. They like what we do, but our brethren and sisters that they know who we are personally, they are not open to that side, and then we don't get opportunities to be able to do things for them, and then we can earn something, and then we say okay, where we are safe and we are secured, and we can also boast of people that they can give us work to do. Why is it that? So we have to always go out and then try fish it out for ourselves with people who are not mind like people like us, and then we try to go in competition with people to fish works and do. But our own brothers and sisters that we know, they understand us from scratch, and they know why we are being rusted and we carry logs. They are not. We don't get them to do their works. We don't see them in the system, so we can be welcomed and be embraced and be able to open up widely. Why is it that? Is it that they are not doing anything, or they are not moving towards what the world is going? If we say the system, is it that they are not following that we can also benefit as young youth and rasters, that we are artisans and we are doing certain things? I think I would believe and say that maybe probably a carpentry work, that is the nature work from beginning. I think some carpentry or some carpenters are getting the work and the masonries and all that. But when it comes to the higher class level and all those kind of new things coming in, I have not done that for any Rasta man, and I ask myself why. I've posted before on this page, but nobody has called me to say, my brother, what can you offer? Help me do this or that. Why are they sitting back for us to suffer? Go out there and go and compete and come, and then it's like we do it and we have to keep it for our own selves. And as if you don't become important to them as from what we are doing. Why is it that? Thank you very much.
My Lord. We tend not to we tend to discount each other,
These autobiography chasing impossible answer. Skill technique inadequate Tennessee. A machine learning how to human efficiency. They sell news in a boxy war. Hashtag transactional acquisition. Worship God cause of daily bread. Money economy must get deleted. They sell news. We just got back from Mars. Holding culturally to the farm. Cause dyslexia because of aphasia. Cause social climate is like and have that. They felt used in a proxy war. Won't go along with it no more. She made a promise as a child. She never broke her rights. Oh, the story narrative. Imagination. These autobiographies changing impossible answer. Explain to yourself each coping skill for more gonna hear your man. eating perpetual dramatic stress syndrome long enough to justify your existence, in the danger, yeah. Out of danger, yeah. Around the danger, yeah. From the dangerous. Ride the rightest thing out. The rightest thing out, yeah. Ride the rightest thing out. The rightest thing out, yeah. So we're not in the business of trying to be different now. We're not in the business of trying to be different now. Socializing the distance. We're never too far out, imprinting, inventing ideas. Some kind of thoughts, yeah, we never thought before. Ride the rightest thing out, the rightest thing out, yeah. Ride the rightest thing out, the rightest thing out, yeah. So we're not in the business of trying to be different now. No, we're not in the business of trying to be different now. No, yeah. That are battling out for dignity, reach farther away. The music are highly rush out. Come on now, encourage us and beat the memory farther. What does a sucker mean to you? The sister mean to you? Word was out about burnout. Before the statues toppling, cut off, let's make a buck on living. Took a year to the human Homo sapien was the fabrication. Ride the rightest thing out, the rightest thing out.
Each other, because your victory is my victory. We need to stop looking at each other as competition. Because we're not that.
Sorry for cutting you, but I think the only place that I think I have been involved and I have earned money from my brother is when I went to the vegetation, when I went to the green land to cultivate with a brother. That was when I was paid from a brother. Some farm. That was the only time that I was being paid by a brother who is a Rasta man, because I had to go farm on his vegetation before. But my personal business, no brother has ever done something like that with me. And I'm so, like, for the past 7-8 years, I feel so bad with it. I was like, wow. And I always praise myself as Rastaman. I see Rastaman, I feel Rastaman, but never see Rastaman call me, say, my brother, I need you to come do something for me. And I feel so bad about that. So bad about that.
Absolutely, as you should. So we need to engage with each other more. And we need to start putting money in one another's pockets.
Give thanks, Empress. Yeah, please. I think one of us is using alarm and is giving us some feedback.
That is Empress. That's from Empress's place. Yeah.
My granddaughters, whatever, our iPad,
Radio culture.
tablet. Must be heard. Yes.
Culture. Radio culture.
Put off the alarm. if anyone else has another comment, question, suggestion, or an idea you want to share, please. We invite you to speak, especially when the press settles.
Yes, I'm back.
Yes, please. So, son of man, you have something to say?
I have a lot to say, Yeah. I hear a lot about what the Empress said, and I give thanks. Yeah, sometimes we say that we run the system and the system don't run we. But yes, to the system is radio culture. How can we overcome the system? The system is ruling by the radio culture.
To belong, memory.
The politicians. Politics is not. Can you hear me? I think my. Wow.
Intelligence would protect.
Yeah, right.
Moments of the history.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Rastafari to the people, just with fresh connect. To make some sense.
You may want to turn off this video and try just doing audio for right now. Because it seems to be going in and out.
Radio culture.
Wow.
Radio culture.
Yeah, son of man. So if you can
Radio
put
culture.
up your video so that
Radio culture. Radio of GH reggae dancer.
If you can put up you and then.
Yeah, it's going on. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, it's where I am. So I mean, we have to get involved in yeah. All right. Yeah, what I'm trying to involve ourselves into the system, particular majority in parliament. Yes, we the conscious ones need to get involved, take the parliament. That's where we can do this constitution. You can't raise on power. No, there's a constitution that governs all of us. Can be break when we have a majority there. We can. You see, sometimes we blame white do this, white do that, but we are doing ourselves because when nothing that we have done. We are there before Pentecost University. We are there before so a lot of universities in this Ghana here. But what we, the mansions, the Rastafari mansions, doing?
Reduction versus poverty. In another direction. Restoring narratives. Us all now became the person. These autobiographies chasing impossible answer. Skill technique. See, machine learning out.
Son of man is offline now.
All right. So give thanks. I figure until maybe he comes back.
Hello.
Hail, greetings.
Yes, you can come in, please.
Okay. All right.
My name is Bongo, yeah, and I feel we need to put in some kind of efficacy in our organizing ourselves, because for me, I have one thing to say. We formed this cooperative association to do this farm thing. Yeah? Put invested money to buy shares, and when it came to just signing, just signing of the document, it's taken us over almost a year, which I feel if there are people who should just sign documents. I mean, we should be using action as Rastas. You know? The action of Rasta liberty is, for me, missing. That unity and Rasta action. Because I thought, okay, when they say corporate.
Hello, can you hear me?
This day, you know. Telling brethren to go sign the signatures. It's taking almost a year, you know. And I feel this slows Africa down. This slows we down. This slows we. Because I feel we should separate money among ourselves and we should start tilling the soil among ourselves. For me, there's a fundamental, basic necessity of Rasta. But when we invest, when we put the money there, just to go sign this thing for this William. Organized. He even said he wanted to go. I've been reading. He wanted to go to people to sign. It's so difficult for him. And I feel, hey, one man is offering so much. Just signatures for us to just put this into action. The action in Rasta liberty is missing. Togetherness is missing. These two elements. You see that patronize the first Rastaman said. Nobody's patronizing nothing because we're not together. Yeah, we don't spend money like the Empress is saying among ourselves. We don't communicate. We just come. Even on the Rasta platform, people post things that is not Rasta, you know. It's a waste of energy, waste of time. And when we come, we need action. For me, it's this cooperative farm because it's something very essential. We put in money to buy shares, but then comes the Rasta lackadaisical attitude. Some don't want to go sign. The man said he will even take his motorbike. I've been reading this thing. It hurts me so much. The man in his office said he would tell me I'll come to your house and let you just sign so that he takes the corporate things, then we can progress. We too lackadaisical because we're not together. You know, that unity thing is missing, and it hurts because I want Rasta to be a fundamental thing of every African life, and it's our money. It's our money circulating, and it's our work. If these two elements are not functioning, in the small cooperative we try to, it's sad, you know. And this is what I lament on it. But I hope we can activate ourselves to make some progress because the cooperative farming thing, for me, is a big thing for me. And I bought shares, you know, hoping that we could go forward. It's taking a year. And I hope this platform can be a platform that we can address that element of we not progressing. You know. Thank you.
Yes, give thanks. Can I come in now?
Unfortunately,
Oh, okay, Empress will respond first. Sorry.
One of the negatives of Rastafari is a lack of a lot of times a lack of discipline, a lack of structure. Because we bonfire the system and we disengage from the system, we sort of operate without without a timetable, without an agenda, without you know, we're just used to freestyling because that is Rastafari sort of offered that. It attracted a lot of people who were sort of like counterculture and you know, for like freestyle, right? So I have been working since I was 16 years old. I used to do I didn't do after school work, but I did summer jobs, right? Since when I was a kid. I got my first job in an office, and I had to sort of like the staple gun. I had to, you know, fill the staple gun. I had to make photocopies and do little, you know, Gal Friday type work around the office. And then afterwards, I started answering the phones, so forth and so on. I started typing and all of that. And so I have this discipline. So even today, at my age, I get up in the morning at 5:15, and I'm out of my house by 6:15, going to catch the subway. And this is just, it is such a part of my nature of what I do, of who I am. Because I like to get into the office very early. I get into the office before anyone else comes in because I like my quiet time. So I can, a lot of times I do a lot of writings. I do a lot of research. So I have to prepare briefs. And I like the quietness of the office at that time in the morning, early before anyone gets in at 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock before the next person. So I get into office by 7:30, the latest. Right? That has been it's a discipline. And not everybody has that discipline. You know, so as I said, that this is sort of like this freestyle nature of Rastafari, it it has come back to haunt us, to bite us. So you find that people are almost resistant to structure and to organization and to discipline and to accountability. You understand? So that and we need to stamp that out of Rastafari, right? Because that's why we can't create anything for ourselves, because we don't have the discipline, we don't have the follow through, right? And we claim to be conscious, but a lot of the moves that we make, lots of the decisions that we make, it does not reflect consciousness. As the brethren said earlier, we don't buy from each other, we don't support each other, we don't engage and employ each other so that we can put money in one another's pockets. You know, we have an aversion to that, and that is something that we must address. And we must address it now. We must address it urgently, because it is it is part of the reasons why we are flailing about. We're almost just one, like no abiding city, we have no destination. When you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So we have no objective, no clear objective. And then because we don't have any clear objective, we can't have any clear path as to how to get there. We need to get this sort of lackadaisical attitude, my brother. Yes, we need to get that out of Rastafari and start to come with more, we want people who are more disciplined. Discipline is a part of the culture. Yes, and we're all indisciplined in one way or another. I mean, let's face it. You understand? I had pizza yesterday. I shouldn't have pizza. But I had pizza. So, my discipline shows in other ways. But I am disciplined when it comes to the work.
All right, give thanks. I'll make some quick comments right now. Give thanks. We're still live on Radio Culture, by the way.
Yes, my God.
Yes, sir.
Special Rasbongo for Born in 5 hours.
You know what?
The lackadaisical attitude of I and I.
All right, we're still live on Radio Culture. I forget I am on mute this whole time, so
signatures and move
I'll speak after the next speaker. Give thanks.
And so I and I, who is involved, we should take note of the fire and do what we must to ensure that within a week or two we seal up with the dignitary. Yes. So any other question, comment?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, all right. Empire, you want to go or make I?
Oh, go ahead.
All right. Give thanks. So quickly, I was going to comment about that thing as well. Now, give thanks, say that better bring it up, because we were in a meeting about this thing months ago. And I personally stepped out and informed certain other brethren that I was trying to come, bring on board. They had questions for me that I brought back to people that I thought would answer it for me and everything. And since then, those brethren have checked in with me and I don't have anything new to tell them. So it's a very timely call. Brethren, give thanks for bringing that up. The action is very important. It is. But let me also kick back small to the original topic of money and the importance of that, right? The economics and all of that. So first of all, I would sign off on everything that the Empress has said. It very well researched, very informative and everything. And as Seven Fireside said, I don't think we are all seeing that as the total picture, right? It is definitely something that has to be considered while we're having a bigger picture. So this is what I mean. Money as it is right now, I maintain that until the world order is reset, we can keep chasing the wind forever. Because right now, there's a system that determines how much our gold costs and how much our cocoa costs. There's a system which we have very little say in, right? And I'm talking about this in bigger terms because we as Rastafari are functioning within an economic system. We don't have a unique economic system that we are functioning in against the wider world. We are functioning within an African economic system. Our leaders, by design or default or intention, I don't know, sometimes don't make the best decisions for us. So we find out that we still keep running in a cycle where no matter what we do, whatever we're chasing, right? And again, most of us as Rastafari find ourselves in these disadvantaged positions. So it would take, say, 7 years for a kid to get a college degree for a Rastafari. I saw a photo on Facebook recently that I loved, and I wish there was something better than love, right? It was about this Rastaman who had graduated from learning how to build or something like that. And he was in his gown and he had this thing in his hand, and I had goosebumps from that. But I was wondering how long it took him to get that, right? So we're functioning in a system where if we are all chasing that same thing and we say, oh, let's go out there and make money the same way the other people are doing, how long does it even take us to get that versus the daily struggles that we have to go through to put food on the table as Rastafari? Let's not lose sight of that, you know. So everything is very legitimate that we have said here, but we have to remember that we also have to fight against that system that determines what is wealth in the first place, right? Back in the day, cowrie shells was wealth for us. Is it today? No. Why? Because somebody else says something else is wealth. Okay, so as we try to, and Marcus Garvey did say that. Marcus Garvey said the example for us. Let's not lose sight of that. Nobody's going to argue against that. Marcus did set the example whereby he showed that the economic empowerment is important in the struggle. There's no question about that. However, as we look at the bigger picture, I feel like we should question how value, how wealth, how money is determined. And once we do that, once we have a system where we also have a say in how wealth is determined, how much our gold should cost. Let's go to other industries, for instance, the restaurant industries. There's something called the Michelin standard. No African restaurant has the Michelin standard. So according to somebody, no African restaurant is good enough. Basically, right? Do we agree? No, we don't. So we should have a say in, even if you're accepting the Michelin standard, what should be the Michelin standard? Give thanks.
Lord. Yes, we again, as you know, we find ourselves at the mercy of these people. And as you say, what is wealth? What is, because we know that clean water is wealth. We know that trees, having forests is wealth. But other people have defined what wealth is, right? And so they have determined, they put a price tag on diamonds and on gold and on silver. And unfortunately, it's the way the world is. The thing is that, once again, you see, we're very idealistic as Rastafari. And so, we have this ideal in our head, but we have to deal with the reality. There is the real and there's the ideal and there's the real, right? So we have to deal with things as they are until we get them to as they should be. I remember when I was in law school, one of my classes, and my professor said, one of the first things he said to us when we entered as a new class, and he said, at the end of the term, you will, obviously the big final exam. And he says, when you get the exam, he said, do the exam I give you and not the exam you wish you had gotten. Right? Because sometimes, when you study, let us say you're going into a math exam and you study a lot of things about algebra. Let's not use math, because that is too warm. Let's use something a little bit more. Let's use one of the arts, right? Not science. So you get a history exam, and the focus of the exam is on, let us say, the Second World War. But you studied a lot about the Korean War, and you studied a lot about, you understand, something else, and you want to showcase your knowledge on that topic. So you start to write things having to do with the Korean War because you want to show the professor that you know that. You understand? You have a good grasp and an understanding of that subject, of that issue. And then, that's not the exam. Culture. And the exam, so no matter how well versed you are in the Korean War, the exam is on World War II. And you're going to try to find a way to loop in Korean War into World War II. That's no. A different thing. So we have to learn to deal with what we have before us, the reality that we're facing. the reality that we have before and not what we wish. Yes, we wish we had a different system. But until such time as we can construct that new system, we have to work within the system. You understand?
Yeah.
And that's all. And that is not that I don't believe that is surrendering. But if a person, if someone has a different opinion, I'm ready to hear it. And I also want to say I really appreciate the very respectful and intelligent tone of this discussion.
Can I quickly say something real quick, please, before you come? I beg you, please. So, Empress, I give thanks for that response too, right? And it's elevating the discussion for me personally, and I believe it's doing that for a lot of people also. What I'm saying though is that as we do that, it's very easy for us to feel comfortable in that spot. Once some of us start getting money, because right now you look at us, we have classes, we have black versions of the same thing, we are fireburning every day, right? So instead of having that and maybe acquiring wealth and feeling comfortable, like, okay, yeah, right now we have money. Right now we have an Oprah Winfrey, who has a white man chauffeur or something like that. So I remember back in the day, we used to say, Akable Mieza, right? Those of us from Ghana, we know Akable Mieza. Akable Mieza used to have a white man driving him around. So that was good, right? So it's very easy for us to get comfortable once we achieve that wealth that we're looking for. I'm just sounding the alarm that once we do, we should remember that there's a bigger picture, which is that we have to have a seat at the table. Give thanks.
Yes, if I may come in, give thanks, Empress, for the reasoning, give thanks for ones and ones who have contributed thus far. I just want to say that I think that at this moment in time, Rastafari Council of Ghana, responding to the brethren's earlier concern that, he feels unpatronized in terms of his skills. I think that it will be prudent for us as a community to actually have a Rastafari directory, which will list everybody's skills and the things that they are able to do, the kind of businesses that they own. This is not going to be hard to do if we simply ask everybody to list their skills and the businesses that they run, and we can create a directory out of that, and then we can use that as a basis of patronizing. Something that we can certainly bring into fruition. I also want to say that the brethren Bongo spoke earlier on about the cooperative that he's involved in. I think that would be great. Those of the item who know much about this cooperative to come to the platform and do a presentation for the rest of us who know nothing about it, as to what the cooperative is all about. I think that will enlighten a lot of us. I also think that, in terms of looking at the immediate picture, Rastafari, yes, there is a serious need for us to engage in economic activities, right? There is no reason why, and this is across the board. This is not only in Ghana. This happens in Jamaica. It happens all across the board, where you see people who have gone into eldership are now struggling and having nobody to support them. Even young people sometimes are facing the same kind of conditions, right? How we need to think about ways in which we can bring some kind of relief to our elders, those who have matured into a certain age group and maybe facing some kinds of hardships, right? Also, I want to speak a little bit about the idea of unity. Because Rastafari speaks so much about unity, I think that sometimes we are confused about what unity means. Sometimes we tend to articulate the idea that unity means that you and I have to agree on the same things and you and I have to think the same way. Unity does not necessarily mean that, right? When it comes to you and I, Australia and America agree to keep us in bondage. And even though Australia and America do not always agree on everything, So I'm saying this to say that we need to be able to, in the short term, think about systems, even if we have to borrow from the Babylon systems that we can use in terms of the business environment. Like somebody mentioned, setting up a corporation, for instance, where people buy shares and stuff like that. We can think about some of these things as ways to get into the economic arena. But looking at the big picture, I also want to say that I think Brethren spoke, I think Empire and also Empire Side spoke earlier on about the fact that the economic order of the world right now is not one that was created by I people. And that is totally on point. And I people also need to look at how do we get control of our resources, right? Because we are not totally, I should say, totally immobilized, or to say that we can have some control. When we take a country like Ghana, for instance, we found oil some years ago, maybe within the last decade or so. Most of that oil that is being mined by Ghana, the money does not accrue to Ghana. Ghana only gets about 10% or so out of the oil revenue. I think it's time for us as countries, African countries, to be able to leverage some of these resources and not only allow the Western world to simply dictate to us how they are going to, buy these resources from us. And also, I think the ultimate aim, as somebody pointed out earlier on, is to totally create an order that is beneficial to I people. And by that I mean that right now, if America, most of the time you hear America saying that, oh, they're donating $350 billion to Ukraine, for instance. That money is not sitting in a bank somewhere and America is going to go take that money and give to Ukraine. When America wants that money, it just simply decides to, print that money and give it to Ukraine. Whilst at the same time, if Ghana wants to do the same thing, they're either going to try to prevent us, or sometimes even if there is an opportunity to do that, Ghana as a country is not thinking along those lines, right? Because we don't want to offend the Western powers. But we need to come out of that kind of thinking and be able to leverage what we have, because we have a lot. And what we have is what the white man wants all the time. They want our trees, they want our gold, they want our lithium, they want our bauxite, they want our oil, they want our human resources. And we have all these things, right? So it's time, in terms of the big picture, also to think about how we can leverage some of our resources. But the ultimate aim is to break down white supremacy, is to break down the Babylon system. And that absolutely we can put in the long term. But, certainly within the short term, we can also look at things we can do within the system to at least alleviate some of these problems that we face, particularly as a Rastafari community. Now, talking about fire burning, I can personally relate to that because I'm one of the people who has taken a lot of fire burn because of education and all kind of things, right? Back in the day, and I'm not blaming any elders for this because they were limited by their knowledge. But I had an elder, for instance, who told me to stop going to school and come and help sell ice water on the streets of Accra. Right? You may be laughing, but I was a very young, very very zealous, and back then we didn't even have the ice water that you had in the plastic thing, in the sachet water. We didn't have that. Back then the ice water, you had a little can on your head, and then the ice water was in the can, and then you use one cup to fetch into other cups for people to drink. So, he told me, and he was being very sincere. He felt like, Rastafari needed money, and I'm over there attending school. Why don't I stop the school and come and sell ice water? on the streets of Accra. And obviously, I did not do that. But I'm saying that even some positions, like when I signed up to go to the University of Ghana, I took a lot of heat for that. Like a lot of people were saying, "Oh, why do we say?" But Bob Marley said, there's a song they used to quote all the time: "Graduating thieves and murderers, building church and university." So if Bob Marley said, why the universities are graduating thieves and murderers, and the church is doing all these kind of things, why am I going to university? To go and study? But some of these people, I don't want to put anybody's business out there, but some of these same people will call you today to ask you to support them, financially. So just imagine. The point I'm making is if I had gone to sell the ice water, if I had not, gone to the university, maybe the predicament that you find yourself in today, that you can find a phone to call me and say, "Hey, Brevin, I'm going through this kind of thing. Can you provide some kind of assistance?" It wouldn't have materialized. So to Empress's point, we have to consider using our talent within the particular system that we find ourselves in right now. But to Empire's point, we shouldn't also feel comfortable once we are using our talents, once we're going to university, once we're getting degrees, once we're having business. We shouldn't get complacent and comfortable there and say, "Oh, you know what, I've made it," or whatever. The aim is, that's not the aim. The ultimate aim is to bring about a total overturn of the world system. And that is what we need to focus on. But immediately, we have to help our own people. We have to support each other, as was pointed out. We have to know each other's talents. And if there is a business venture, for instance, that we are undertaking, maybe that's the first place we want to look. If there's a directory of Rastafari, then we go in and say, "Oh, you know what, this brother, he does steel works. Maybe I need somebody to do some steel works on a project that I'm working on. Let me hire his services." But for instance, if I don't know, how will I then be able to reach out to anybody? So I think that should be something that we should consider now. I mean, we are still in 2024. We have a few months for the year to be over. We can set ourselves a target and say, by the end of the year, we should have a Rastafari skills directory where everybody's skills are listed in it, where we represent it. Back in the day, I mean, when I was like maybe 20 years old, there used to be something of that nature. And, when I came to the United States, through that, I actually went and sought some once and ones out because there was a directory that I could use. So I'm saying that let us create one for ourselves. That way we will know. As Ejoma is a IT person, Jamalcom is a, top broadcast person. This person does this. This person is the construction. And then that way we can patronize ourselves. But if we don't know, it's hard to even know where to start from. So, and I think that the black people will support each other, particularly if things are relatively affordable. Let me give you a typical example. I was in London some years ago, and I went to the store to go buy the Ghana yam. Of course, when you're in London, you must eat some Ghana food. So I went to the store to buy the yam. So I went to the store. I got a person selling the yam. Okay. The background stuff. I realized that the person selling the yam was an Indian guy. So, of course, I decided to, probe a little bit. And the whole thing that the Indians had set up was that there was an Indian guy in Ghana who was buying the Ghana yam, wholesale from the countryside, sending it to his brother in England. And that brother, because this Indian guy was sending it from the wholesale for the countryside, was able to sell it cheaper than the other yams that were on the market. I'm making this point to say that we can consider some of these strategies. How can we, as a group, create a system whereby we can attract business and economics to ourselves by being able to network and sell cheaper? Let me give you another example. Just about, I'll say maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, some Ghanaians were complaining, and particularly those who were selling stuff like cell phone and accessories and those kind of things, were complaining that the Nigerians had, quote unquote, taken over their market. But it wasn't because the Nigerians just came to Ghana and took over the market. There was something that the Nigerians were doing that the Ghanaians were not doing. That is, when the Nigerians went to the wholesaler, all the Nigerians who were selling cell phones and accessories were coming together with their money and going to the wholesaler and buying wholesale from the wholesaler. So when they came back into the system, the Ghanaian who was going as an individual to go buy from the wholesaler, when they came back, their prices were higher than the Nigerians who are bonded together and bought wholesale from the wholesaler. They were able to offer the same cell phones for a cheaper price than the Ghanaians. So these are some of the things that we need to consider, how we would use some of these business strategies to be able to buy wholesale and be able to retail. Because, Black people will buy from us if we are offering something that is affordable, right? But if the Indian man can come into our system and figure out how to be able to offer things in London that are more affordable than what a Ghanaian can offer, then guess what? The Ghanaian in London will go and buy the cheaper yarn from the Indian guy instead of going to buy it from the Ghanaian guy. So these are some of the things that I think that we should be thinking about. I think I've talked more than my time, a lot of time. So I give thanks.
Just a quick buttress, Empire. Just a quick buttress.
Yes, I am.
So in the same vein, when we as tradesmen, craftsmen, all of that, let's make sure that we are catching the mark of quality. Let's have our own Michelin standard on our work. So that if I, as a brethren, I'm looking for, say, a mason to do my work, I'm not looking for somebody, just any mason, right? If I have a brethren who can build fairly decently, but then I want to maintain a certain standard with my work because my family lives in the house, and there's somebody who may not be Rasta, but who knows their thing, and I can trust them. So all I'm saying is that we as Rastas and Empresses and everything, let's also attach, let's have that thing where when you see a Rasta man, you see the sign of quality, right? That way we'll have no questions trading among ourselves. But if I have hard-earned money that I'm just going to give to somebody just because he's Rasta, when I cannot trust that he's going to deliver, then there is an issue. So that's just a quick buttress to what the point you just made, Empire.
And to your point, Rasta, I think also, in addition to quality, is professionalism, right? Don't think that just because I is Rasta that you don't have to deal with me on a professional level. And by that I mean that, so if I ask you to do something and we all agree that, by 12 o'clock you have to report.
You do it in your own time.
And don't come and because
you decided to burn a slave that morning.
Right. You want to just say, oh, as a Rasta man, I can just give him the report in 2 days' time or 3 days' time. No, we agreed that it was 3 o'clock or 12 o'clock. So that professionalism, that quality, and I would even argue that as Rastafari, our quality and our professionalism should even go beyond the
There you go.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Can I chip in one quick? I think we on this platform here, we are just.
Please let's hear from the Empress. I think you.
Oh, sorry.
Give thanks, Rastafari, everyone. I give thanks for the link. I got the link to attend the meeting, but I never took too much of what the meeting itself was about. I'm Ambassador Jasmine Rowe. I'm in Ethiopia. I do want to say that a lot of what's been said is true. As Rastafari, we are not united enough and we're not looking for in the market and the things that is available to us, because we don't have how can I put it, the dissemination of information is not reaching to us because we're not looking for it. I heard a brethren, my brethren, I give thanks for your reasoning there, talk about yam, Ghana yam. We have in Ethiopia one type of yam, one. And Ghana have at least 30, 40, Nigeria have about 30, 40, Jamaica have. And we have seen the Africa-Free continental trade. And the African diaspora 6 region is part of that. And especially those Rastafarians who have returned and settled on the continent. Many a times I have been in touch with Ghana about yam, ackee, plantain, the things that we have a population of Rastafarians here, over 5,000. And yet we have one type of yam. And Ghana is only 6 hours across there. You see, so the market that is there for Rastafari to be in the trade, to be trading, even if you're not farming, you can be buying and selling because we're here in need. I don't think that I should be sending to London or one of them places there for a piece of yellow, yeah? Or a piece of shea butter, you know? I think that what we need to do as Rastafari, we need to look at who is Rastafari. Because we have a lot of, can I use the word, fala fashion, that look at the appearances and put on the appearances. And then that can rub off on the Rastafari, who 5 years ago was serious in Rastafari. Rastafari is a people that we care. We have always been working, always. And we had people to train us. Now we have a market there now where it's been open that we can trade with one another around the continent and within the Caribbean. The only thing I've actually seen, I think it's Tobago that is trading Calagas with Ghana. Right now here, we don't have anybody. We trade amongst ourselves. And I must say that the brother that spoke about we call it a skill bank here. So we have the skill, the list of the skill and the notice board of all the Rastafarian HQ. If we want a plumber, we're calling our own. If we want a mason, an electrician, we're calling our own. It wasn't like that at first, but it's become serious now that we have to look at it because we have to grow. Because everybody, when we reach back into Africa, everybody see we, whether you're from Jamaica, the poorest, or the poorest Barbados, or anywhere, they see we as rich. We have the dollar. They not think about the Jamaica dollar, They might think about the dollar that them people have the money. So if this costs 10 CD, we must charge them 50 CD. So you have to understand and find who is who and come together and form businesses and get trading license. It's not even so hard to go and get an import-export license in order to be able to. Ethiopia, in Nigeria, I just purchased from Nigeria the other day. We can't send money out, and Ghana is a similar thing, unless we're doing business, that we have business accounts. We can send money with our foreign accounts, like our British account, American account, but the CD and things and the BUR don't move so easy. But with a business account, getting a trading license, that you can send your planting to us here. We sell here and sell and send back money to you there with a business account. We don't have planting. We don't have, as I said, one type of yam. And we bring forward banana here because the banana that is here is different. Ackee. Ackee may be in the Caribbean, but Ghana has it too. Shea butter, which we need every day. Black soap. You understand? It's across the world, just across Ghana there. And there's many things here that I'm sure Ghana need. We have with cocoa. We have with, well, no Ghana have peanuts. We have with coffee. We have with clothes. We have leather. You understand? Ethiopia is one of the most places that has leather galore, sapphires, diamonds that we can be trained in. And it's not something that it needs a master to do. And the brethren is right in the sense that many of us that went to university and study, ones were telling us that we are get Babylon education. But with Babylon education is what's helping a lot of people right now. I am here as the immigration liaison officer, the ambassador for the state of the African diaspora, also the British and Commonwealth representative. It just gets thrown on because you have the education to do these things. But don't let anybody fuss when you go to get education for something what you want to do. And I think I was like 51, 52, when I decided to go and do my last degree in university. It's only 2021 that I'm 66, and it's 2021 that I graduated from the last degree that I did. And it was the business one, because I wanted to learn how to trade international business and then come home. And I've been here for 27 years. I would say that as brethren and sisters, those Rastafarians that are in Ghana, those that are in Tanzania, those that anywhere on the continent should be trading with those in the Caribbean and with one another. And all it takes is, like we say, one cocoa for basket. Give thanks for the invite and give thanks for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Yes, we give thanks to Empress Jasmine. Our time is almost up, and we will take some final comments, and then Empress can wrap up. So a few of us have not spoken yet. Daddy Bosco, we've not heard from you. Ras Jonah, Ras Malcolm, we've not heard from any of you yet. So if you have any input, you can make, and then Empress will give us her closing remarks. At this time.
Give thanks. Sorry I joined the meeting late, but I believe I got the essence of Empress Marina's presentation. I like the various views. I've been having chats with the fireside on the alternatives to the current economic system and things. I like the vibe that is coming forward. What I'm looking forward to is further development of these ideas. I like to always say that we are the first generation of Rastafari. And so some of the things that we need to do to set a pattern based on His Majesty's teachings are a big challenge to us. I also like to say that with regards to the skills database, I believe we have a lot of information on the registration form. And so I'm sure Moses will work with Ras Ejo so that we can possibly create a section on our website where all this information will be available. And then we explore other ways of making the information readily available, accessible. Give thanks to the family. Give thanks to everyone here. I like the vibes from Bongo. I like that vibe, and it's a wake-up call to Rastafari. And we need to step up our game. Finger pointing will not take us anywhere. Let us all make sure that in our own small ways, we're going to be part of this foundation for Rastafari so that 20, 30, 40 years time, when we're no longer here and Rastafari is on another elevation, our contributions will be appreciated. And give thanks, Empress Marina, once again. Last year.
Radio culture.
Yes, Ras Malcolm, do you have anything to say?
It's nice reasoning.
I love it when the Empress go like they use them and also see Rastafari as a poverty badge, because oftentimes Rastafari actually posture in a way that we are anti-wealth, but it must not be seen like that, and it actually serves as a distraction for a lot of the youths, and in that vein, is a means to an end, and we should work towards that. And the skylarking is getting too much. Skylarking is getting too much. Too much idling, too much talk shop, less action, and I guess that needs to be checked. So the little takeaway that I have is that what I brought forth. Give thanks, Empress. Give thanks. You bring in the balance. Give thanks.
Yes, Prasbongo, you want to write anything? I said your mind.
Culture.
Thanks so much, Empress, for touching this sensitive part of the whole entire system that Rastafari find itself. But for some time, when we talk about Rastafari, it has always been about the creative, maybe somebody doing some small art somewhere, somebody doing some small weaving somewhere. And I was very happy when I have to go and see one of our brethren, and I realized he was with the Supreme Court or the High Court of Ghana. And I was, yes, this is how we are supposed to be. You go here, you see Rastafari there. You come to this side, you see us there. Like you come to the law firm, you see them there. That is how it's supposed to be. And it's about money. Even to get the respect, it's all about money. No matter how we go fire upon them, we can survive in the system if we don't have the money. And I will touch on the brother man who says Rasta man is not giving work to his co-brothers. We have to also put in a lot more. We as Rastas, everything we do, we have to go extra mile to prove ourselves, because already you come out, there's a perception around you, say, hey, they are this, they are that. So always the landlady have to go in more. And sometimes too, we have to be very careful with our craft. When we meet ourselves, we kind of want to be a bit of relaxed. Let's take it up. Business is business. Play is play. And also, when I saw our committees, I was like, why didn't we have the business committee? We had advocacy, we have education, maybe some business committee where we will have our directory, as it was pointed out. And as Daddy just said, I've already jotted it down already that we should have a business directory. And as you've already given me the chance, I will link up with Royal, and then we will create that business directory and then post it on our website where members can go there to see the various members and wherever they are good at, so that we can promote ourselves in a very, very good way. So give thanks for the sensitive part of the lecture account. Thanks.
So before Empress coming, the little I gather is that Empress is asked to use what system has given us with.
Hello?
It has poverty, it's like the malnourishment, and have within the system catered that we can speak English. Like if the conversation is supposed to be in P, some of us may not benefit, but the system, through colonization, we speak English, and now we can communicate with this everywhere in the world. The future may be to have an African language, but now we can use English. Conversation among ourselves. Likewise, Empress is trying to say that yes, now the education should make use of. Once upon a time, even myself, when I was entering Bobo, shampoo, as a pre, you on education, if you want to pursue a degree, when all you have to be is a priest. And so I think I appreciate the conversation from where she's coming from, that even though we find ourselves within the system, we should make use of a liberation. But I think I appreciate the part of the conversation that is also saying that who is the short term we bring back them depend on it. I think we must what we consume and consumers of what we produce. But we go to school, get them wrong system, be working in the government, is that income. And so the narrative that a Rasta man can be a musician or this conversation is to, that is how I appreciate the rest of me. I think that I have to add. Yes. Please, you can give us marks now.
Yes. You're not very clear. For me, I don't know if it's my end or yours, but it was going in and out. But I am assuming that you're asking me to sort of wrap up with the final comment. I am, as I've said previously, I am appreciative of the respectful, intelligent, and dignified tone that this discussion has taken. Some very salient points, very important points, very intelligent points were made. And so we have, we have food for thought. We have things to think about. I am very happy too for the way in which the presentation was received. That no one was openly hostile to the idea of having to, of the premise of this discussion, the importance of economics to the liberation movement, and the need to engage the system to some degree in order, even as we seek to extricate ourselves from a system that we have recognized to be unjust and lopsided, and particularly against Black people, a system that allows a few people to benefit at the expense of the many. And so having recognized that, we found ourselves in the dilemma of how then do we engage this cruel system, this wicked system, even as we seek to create a more equitable system. And, that most people here recognize that, yes, we will have to engage with that same wicked system to some degree in order to achieve our liberation. Another brethren talked about the need to sort of go back to our ancestors and how it used to be done, and we need to explore that more. We certainly, I know that I need to explore that more because I don't have a lot of information on that. And then we can see how we can marry the past with the present, right? See how we can take the wisdom of our ancestors and the system of our ancestors, and how we may we may improve upon it with the information we now have available and the technology, and but in a measured way, in a way that is not antagonistic to the environment, because we know that white people, they just bulldoze their way through everything. The system, it respects things. It does not respect nature in particular, and that is certainly not the approach that we are pursuing. And once again, I give thanks for the very intelligent comments and and the information that I too have gathered, being a part of this very how should I say, elevated, very intelligent group of Rastafari, I and I. Blessed love, my Lord and Empress.
Culture.
Blessed love, my lords and empress. We appreciate your presence. We ask that the conversation will be shared on our YouTube. So we'll share the channels for ones and ones to share among the brethren and sisters. Those who couldn't participate in the conversation can still listen to reasoning. And please, we beg of you also to subscribe to our channels so that we can grow audience on our channel, and in the future we can monetize it. We appreciate that you both through your presence and your leadership. Raseven Fireside Prof. Wiro, Education Committee member, Rasel Jonah, for the IT services. Each one who participated, we appreciate your presence. Empress Marina, we are very much appreciative of your time. Even though you are as busy as you are, you've been able to take us through the presentation. We appreciate your
Rastafari. And I urge you all to like and subscribe to our YouTube.
Is it starting to mix?
All right. Yes. Oh, wow. Today's lecture was on fire, wasn't it? All right. So we had today Empress Marina Blake, who was our speaker for today on the subject or on the topic, the importance of economics in the struggle. Thank you very much for tuning in to Radio Culture. Thank you very much. Before we go, let me take a couple comments really quickly. I have a few on the WhatsApp platform, but unfortunately, because of time, I'm not going to be able to read those. I'll just say to those that put their questions on the WhatsApp platform, please, if you notice, we put a QR code out, right? So what you can actually do is you can scan that QR code and come directly on the platform to ask the questions if you want to do that. If you don't want to do that and you put them here, and there is time, we will still read them out for you. But for today, I'll just read just one of them and then one from YouTube, and we'll be out because we're out of time. The discussion is actually over right now. So from the WhatsApp platform, what's his name? Kojo Enti. I was about to say Kojo Entry. Kojo Enti is asking from the WhatsApp platform. He says, how do I join this? What do you mean, Kojo? How do you become a Rastaman, or what do you mean? Okay. Kojo, I'll pick it up with you, okay? Because I don't understand your question. I don't know what you mean. So I'll pick it up with you and I'll see if I can speak with you directly about your question. So because of that, let me take one more. What's his name? This one here is from Frank Safo Edu. Frank Safo Edu is asking how Africans can benefit from their own resources. That is another subject on itself, Frank, and I'm sure we will have time to discuss it. Maybe one day on the bi-weekly lectures. And also from YouTube, Ras Jahazil Tafari says, very edifying and uplifting reasoning. Keep up the good works. That is one for you. The Rastafari Council of Ghana Education Committee. Ras Jahazil Rastafari says, this has been a very edifying and uplifting reasoning, and keep up the good works. My name is Kwesi Esonbakon. Beloved, I'm out like a light. Thank you for doing the listening once more. I'll see you next 2 weeks with another edition of the bi-weekly lectures. One love.
These are the biographies. Impossible and so